Hey everybody, welcome back to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Going to be doing another vegan news and views live stream for you. Hopefully got a couple of fun things and some lighthearted stuff as well as some serious stuff for everybody. And I'm going to jump right into it because I want to try to make an early evening for myself. I'm a bit tired today, but we'll try and get through everything. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Hope everybody's good, and if anybody's in the chat already, just let me know if the audio is okay. Everything should be okay as far as I can see, but just ping me if you can't hear me or something else is going on. Alright, let's jump into it. I found this article on Twitter, if I remember right, and basically it's an interesting thing talking about the fate of wind turbines. So basically in the quest for more and more green energy and trying to keep everything away from fossil fuels. Hey, Perpetual Annoyed, cool, glad you're well. We want to push people to solar power, wind power, etc., etc. And this article is just talking about what happens to the actual wind turbine blades when they get decommissioned. So I guess at some point, they do kind of wear out, and they need to be maintained, they need to be replaced, and new systems come on board. And unfortunately, the way these things are made, they're so huge, it's actually very difficult to transport them. This article talks a lot about the difficulties of being able to do anything with them. They're very difficult to handle. They're made from like fiberglass, and they have obviously metal parts in there as well. They're the size of an airplane wing, so that's actually really, really difficult. They need to be trucked. There's only certain places that will actually even take them in to be, kind of like buried. So basically, they're being buried in the ground in landfills. And there are like huge problems with this. It's a very interesting article. I definitely recommend people to look through this. I will say though that there's a glimmer of hope at the end that this isn't quite as bad as it seems at first glance. That the total amount of garbage that is produced by these wind turbines compared to the overall amount of garbage that's produced is actually still pretty small. I can't remember the stats. It's kind of near the end. But so yeah, the good news is again that the overall amount of garbage is low compared to everything else, and then the good side is that there are companies now that are going to be working on being able to recycle these, and their initial work on this seems very promising. So that I think here it is. This company, it's a startup, Global Fiberglass Solutions, developed a method to break down blades and press them into pellets and fiberboards to be used for flooring and walls. The company started producing samples at a plant in Sweetwater, Texas, near the continent's largest concentration of wind farms. It plans another operation in Iowa. We can process 99.9% of a blade and handle about 6,000 to 7,000 blades a year per plant. The company has accumulated an inventory of about 1 year's worth of blades ready to be chopped up and recycled as demand increases, he said. And when we start to sell to more builders, we can take in a lot more of them. We're just gearing up. So there is kind of like light at the end of the tunnel. But hi, you Ronder. You Raw Wonder. Hi. So yeah, there is light at the end of the tunnel that people will be able to do something with these. But until then, yeah, they are getting buried in landfills, which is really kind of crazy. And obviously, people can be upset about that. Oh, this is where the thing is here. Wind turbine blades at the end of their operational life are landfill safe, unlike the waste from some other energy sources, and represent a small fraction of overall U.S. municipal solid waste. According to an emailed statement from the group, it pointed to an Electric Power Research Institute study that estimates all blades waste through 2050. So even just going into the future, another 30 years, all of the blade waste in total would equal roughly 0.015. So 0.015%. So not even a, what is that? 1.5%. Sorry, it's 100th of a percent. It's crazy. So yeah, 0.015% of the municipal waste going into landfills in 2015 alone. So all of the waste up until 2050 so for the next 30 years plus whatever's out there, is still less than a hundredth or whatever. Sorry, less than 0.02% of the waste going into landfills alone in 2015 alone. So it's not as bad as it sounds, but nonetheless, people are talking about, like we should try to future-proof these things. We should try to think about how they could be, reused or recycled into something else, upcycled into something else. So I just think the more people look at this, the better. Hi, Michael. Welcome. So, yeah, definitely check out this article. It's interesting, food for thought. But like I say, it's not as dire as it sounds. I think they're really trying, to kind of do a little bit of sensationalism here in this Bloomberg article, because the title makes it sound really kind of crazy. They're piling up in landfills. I mean, yeah, they're piling up because they're big, and you can't really stack them or shred them or do anything. You just kind of lay them next to each other like this. But I mean, it's not as bad as it seems at first glance. And check it out; it's pretty interesting stuff. Next, a bit of good news here. The oldest Aggag law in the U.S. was ruled unconstitutional. So I don't know if everybody watching, if you guys know what the Aggag laws are. It's basically laws that were passed in the past several decades to limit the kind of damage that can be done to agricultural firms. This is typically specific to the animal agriculture industries. You can actually be labeled a terrorist if you, for example, scare people in the public with footage like from a farm showing people abusing animals or whatever. And if it can be shown that you've caused a panic and the price of that commodity, whatever it is, let's say pigs, chickens, whatever, if that commodity price goes down, you can be charged with terrorism, basically, that you've incited kind of a panic that has disrupted the food source for the country. So it's not just in America, but I think there are other countries that have passed similar measures. And it's really kind of scary stuff. It is definitely meant as a scare tactic for animal rights activists and other groups who campaign for better conditions for animals and more humane treatment of them, even if they're not fully vegan. Nobody wants to see these kind of abuses. And there's kind of two things that I always feel about this. Hey, Graham, welcome. One thing is that I am an ethical vegan. I definitely stand by abolitionist approaches, so I don't want to see pigs being exploited for food at all. I think that's the main goal. That's what we need to work towards. But at the same time, of course, like if there is some small, kind of thing to be gained of like giving the pigs more space or, like not beating them to death, when they're piglets because they're not growing fast enough or stuff like that. Like, yeah, like these things, if they are changed, is it a positive step? Yes. Is it enough? No. But the thing is that there are a lot of people who work towards these kinds of things that they go by either approach, and I commend anybody for doing either. Obviously, I think the end goal is to stop exploiting them altogether. But in the meantime, these kind of laws work really strongly against either approach, and it's just really bad that's what people face, that they face these very severe criminal actions if they go undercover, provide footage to the public, and expose the cruelty that's inherent on all of these large farms. And bear in mind, again, as I've said in many live streams already, like 90% of the animal products produced come from the large factory farms. Everybody wants to believe they're getting their eggs and bacon and everything else from the Aunt Nana's place down the road, but that's not what is happening in reality. But so anyway, so the good news is that this law was deemed unconstitutional. It violated the First Amendment, and it was struck down by the U.S. District Court for the District of Kansas. So this law was passed 30 years ago, and now it has finally been removed. And as the Animal Legal Defense Fund says here, along with a coalition of advocacy groups, they filed the lawsuit. And Stephen Wells, the executive director of the legal organization, said in a statement, for 30 years, Kansas lawmakers have suppressed whistleblowers from investigating cruel conditions on factory farms with this unconstitutional law. And he added that the decision is a victory for the millions of animals on factory farms. Again, I think great news, but it's not enough, and people will try to counter this any way they can, the people in the animal agriculture industry. You can see here, they say that 28 states have attempted to pass Aggag laws. Not all have succeeded. There are only a handful of similar laws in place across the country. Missouri's Aggag laws mandate that the activists hand over evidence of animal abuse to law enforcement within 24 hours, and activists argue that this prevents them from collecting sufficient evidence to show patterns of abuse. So what ends up happening in those kinds of cases is, the law will look at it and say, oh, well, you have one case of abuse, it's not rampant. What are they going to do? They're going to do a little tiny slap on the wrist, if anything, and then life goes on and, the abuse continues. But you can see here in 2011, investigations in Iowa found that the workers were smashing piglets onto the concrete floor. Another investigation showed pigs being beaten with metal rods. And the following year, the state of Iowa passed its Aggag law. In 2019, a court ruling struck it down as unconstitutional. I covered that in a previous live stream. But in that same year, the state passed another Aggag law. This one is a slightly different version. Now, in this one, they criminalized the use of deception to gain access to an agricultural production facility with the intent to film undercover and ultimately cause harm to the business. So what that means is if you're an animal rights activist and you pretend to be a person who wants to go work on one of these farms, you can say, okay, I have pig handling experience or whatever, and then you can go and wear a small camera and document the abuse that you're going to see, which is going to be there in pretty much all large-scale farms for sure. The fact that you did that and that you gained employment in that company with the express purpose of documenting the abuses and bringing it out to the public, you'll be charged under that new law. So it says the court issued a preliminary injunction against this law, blocking its enforcement. I mean, great for now, but who knows how that's going to end up. So I'm just saying this as a, you can't take these little victories and sit on our laurels. Like, we have to keep fighting all of these laws and try to get, people behind the animal rights groups who are fighting against these gross injustices, because even people who are consuming animal products, they, ultimately they want to feel good about their purchases. They don't want to see the terrible cruelty that is being, used to produce the food they're eating. And ultimately, like, if you watch the movie Dominion or, any kind of similar documentary, Land of Hope and Glory, etc., you will see that these kinds of practices are standard practice. The thing is that many of these things that are filmed, they're not even abuses technically. They're actually legal. So the thumping the piglets, taking the piglets and smashing them on the floor to kill them, that's actually considered humane by the RSPCA in in the UK and Australia. That's not illegal. But when people see that, when they see footage of that, it actually evokes a really strong reaction in them. And even people who are eating, pigs, they will look at that and they say, wow, that's really messed up. I don't want to pay for that. And of course, these animal, agriculture industry people are going to try to fight that, because they don't want people to see the truth. They don't want to see the cruelty in dairy, the, calves being taken away, hearing the cows cry and all this kind of stuff. They want to project the image of the cow's out in the field and it's happy and, all this kind of stuff. And these eggs are, these egg laying hens are walking around in the grass and everything's cool. And it's like, as soon as you provide them with footage, like in those documentaries I just mentioned, people will be like immediately turned off from that. And that's what these companies are trying to fight. So it's really important that we kind of keep on this stuff. And meanwhile, I got a bunch of new people joining. Hey, Lewis, welcome. Generally, hey, those draconian laws have one main purpose: to silence truth tellers. That's absolutely right. Aura, hey, welcome. It's going good, feeling good. Luis, my friend Andy Stepanian of Shack 7 is a victim of draconian laws designed to silence truth tellers. I do not know who that is, but I will look that up. Andy Stepanian, let's see. Activist communications consultant for nonprofits. I will take a look. Thanks for letting us know. Was that the same group that was trying to shut down HLS years ago? Herbivore. Unfortunately, the push to get at whistleblowers by Trump and the like will encourage people to push for more of these laws. Oh, I'm sure of it. And you can already see, Trump has, slack. He's loosened laws around the slaughter house, like line speeds and things like that. He's removed, Food and Drug Administration inspectors from the slaughterhouses, and the responsibility is technically going back to the companies themselves, which is a joke. Like, they're supposed to be somehow capable of, ensuring their own safety, and standards are being met. It's like they're leaving the fox in charge of the hen house, as they say. Okay. Yeah, Louis says yes, and they are awesome. I was active with them when I first became an animal rights activist over 15 years ago. I don't even know which group that is, SHAC7. I will have to look that up. The Animal People is a good film. I haven't seen it yet, Jen, but I've heard that it's good. That's the new Joaquin Phoenix film, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you for bringing a brave voice for the animals. Absolutely, Perpetually Annoyed. Anybody who takes part in these groups, I would say thank you to. Race Lover, don't mock Trump, pal. He is the greatest orange leader the world has ever seen. Absolutely. There was a great picture of him recently that I saw where there was like the spray-on tan didn't go all the way like to his hairline, so he had like a good like inch or two thickness of non-orange skin, kind of around the. I think it was like a windy day or something. The wind pushed back his hair. It was really funny. He's a great man with tiny hands. All right, cool. Welcome, Race. Next, what are we talking about? Trump. There we go. Look at that. His son. This is the next up in the articles. Donald Trump Jr. is set to speak at the world's largest trophy hunt convention. So he's an avid trophy hunter. There's many pictures of him and his brother killing poor, defenseless, helpless animals with large rifles because they have to compensate for small other things. But yeah, so he's basically going to be speaking at a place where for $17,000, attendees of the convention can bid to hunt black-tailed deer native to the region with him. It's really sad. This actually happened already. My bad. This happened a couple days ago. But yeah, so anybody who likes Trump, please go look at this. I think it's also kind of funny that he's got the lock her up, on the cartridge, the magazine cartridge of his rifle, and he clearly thinks he's a knight of some kind. I don't know. It's really funny. Louise, is that orange shirt you're wearing to honor Orange Man? It is not, but thank you for bringing it up. It is the t-shirt that I have designed recently, and if anybody hasn't seen it yet, you can actually order this for yourself. And it is a t-shirt that I made. If anybody has grown up in the U.S. or if you've kind of watched a lot of U.S. TV back in the day, like from, I think the media campaign started in 1987 and it went on for 15 years or something. The pork industry had a set of commercials called Pork, the Other White Meat. And so I made a shirt that says Seitan, the Other Wheat Meat. And instead of a trademark logo here, it has tiny little V's instead of the T's. So you can buy this shirt and support me. It comes in many different colors. I think there's 16 colors. And I have the link for it in the description of the video. So if anybody wants to buy it, you can buy it in orange and support your love of Trump, or buy it in any color. I just like orange. And I don't like Trump. Let's see. Race. It wasn't a spray-on, pal. He was wearing a new headband from Sverge's new headband line. That's awesome. It's a natural tan line. You take that back immediately. I'm sure it's natural. All natural. I take it back, Race. I don't want to upset you. Jen, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll try to track it down and leave it in the comments. I don't remember. Oh, I don't know what that comment was to. But anyway, maybe I missed something, Jen. Hi, everyone. Leon, welcome. Cool. Hail Satan. That's right, Luis. Kale Satan, let us pray. I love that one, too. Cool. All right, next one up. If anybody follows me on Twitter, I appreciate that. And if not, you can follow me on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. And if you follow me, you should also follow this guy, Ashwani Garg. He is a doctor in Chicago. And he has amazingly informative and really funny tweets many, many times. I love this guy's tweets. So shout out to Dr. Garg. And yeah, Ashwani has like the best kind of stuff. So he shared this link, which I just wanted to show people. He says, blame everything but the milk. So lawmakers in West Virginia, they lifted a ban on the sale of raw milk. If anybody's not in the U.S. watching this, in the U.S., in many states, I think it's like, I don't know, something like 30 states or something, it is illegal to buy and sell raw milk because of health concerns, which are, quite frankly, rightfully well placed. And they only allow the sale of pasteurized milk. But in West Virginia, they recently lifted the ban. I'm not going to click the actual link because it's just a video. I think it's really funny and you guys can watch it. But yeah, basically a bunch of the lawmakers, to basically celebrate the passing of the law, they drank raw milk, like as part of the media, I don't know, kind of, exposure around this. And a bunch of them got sick right after. Nobody died. But I just thought it was just kind of like one of these like instant karma fails that are just so like, I don't know, they just make your day. And then of course they all said, no, it's not from the milk, but it's just, I think it's kind of funny that they all got sick. And well, I don't know if all of the people who drank the milk got sick, but several of the people who did get sick. So I just think that was very funny. And yeah, I have a link in my post about this when I'm sharing Dr. Garrick's post to an article that shows a study that was done in Minnesota where they found that 1 in 6 people who consume raw milk actually get sick in Minnesota. So, take that to be what you want. But as I say, ditch dairy, go vegan, February. So, yeah. Michael says that doctor is brilliant. Yes. Dr. Garg is just one of the people where like, he's very funny, but he's also extremely knowledgeable, and he does a lot of stuff around kind of whole food, plant-based, diet benefits, and he does presentations at hospitals, and yeah, it's just, follow Dr. Garg. He's awesome. Let's see, what else did I miss? Leon. Yeah, cool, man. All right, moving on. We're going to talk about Joaquin Phoenix, or Joaquin, I don't know if I ever pronounced his name right, but anyway, Joaquin Phoenix, he's been all over the news the past few weeks. I have to just give this man so many props. I mean, if anybody doesn't know, like, Earthlings is one of my favorite, like, kind of vegan documentaries or movies, really, of all time. Not even just vegan or documentary or anything, but just I think just one of the best movies I've ever seen, ever, and he narrated it. Phoenix is a super long time vegan. I think he's been vegan for like 40-something years. He turned vegan when he was 3, if I remember the story correctly, after seeing fish suffering in a boat that fishermen were catching, and he freaked out, and he basically got his whole family to go vegan, if I understand it correctly. So anyway, just a passionate animal rights activist for a long time. But lately, just the past several weeks and the past couple months, he's gotten like really vocal and just been like all over the news, like at animal rights, protests, animal save movements, just all sorts of stuff, giving animal rights kind of speeches at award ceremonies, all sorts of like really awesome stuff. So here's one where he joined an animal protest ahead of the BAFTAs. I think they unfurled a large, like a banner, I think, on the London Bridge, if I remember right. Yeah, on the Tower Bridge. So basically, I think, what was the sign that, I forget what it said, but it's something like, animal agriculture is destroying the environment or something like that. And, he's been at animal saves. I think after one of the awards shows, he went in his tux to an animal save, like a vigil. I mean, he's just been like really using his celebrity, because he's getting all this recognition for the movie The Joker. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if anybody else, if you guys have seen it, if you were watching. I don't know. Everybody's been raving about it and saying how great it is. I haven't seen it personally, but I don't really even care. I mean, I just love the fact that he's using his celebrity for bringing light to, the animal rights movement, and I just think it's awesome. So, yeah, let's see. Ray says it was because they are fruit and milk. Wait, it was because they are fruit and milk with other vegan carbohydrates. Oh, on the same day as raw milk, screwing up the milk with vegan anti-nutrients. You vegans just don't know. That's right. Yeah, Sverige would set them straight. It's funny because if you guys look up the article that I linked in the Twitter post, Campylobacter is actually one of the bacterias that can be found in raw milk often, and that is the same bacteria that Sverige got infected with when he was eating raw bone marrow, and he got so sick from it that like I think what was it, his whole arm, like he couldn't use his arms or something, like he was in so much pain. So yeah, check out my video on Logan's channel, Logan Blake's channel, where I debunk Sverige, and I talk about that a lot, as well as other crazy stuff that guy's done. Let's see, Michael. Joaquin had an Impossible Burger at Monty's in LA. Some vegans have given him a hard time. Oh, well, I didn't see that, but I don't think that really negates the work that he's done, or the the effect he's having. So that's good. You're gonna kick spell correct in the nuts. Yeah, you should. Sometimes autocorrect does really funny things. Perpetually Annoyed says, yeah, those vegans are too extreme. Okay, Luis. Incidentally, there's quite a number of good vegan channels on YouTube. One I discovered about 2 months ago is called Arvind Animal Activist. Check it out if you haven't. I will check it out. Arvind Animal Activist. Animal Activist. I'll just leave these for myself for later, and I'll put them in the links as well. Thanks for that, Luis. Where were we? Back to Joaquin. Okay. Michael, yeah, that's douchey of those people to do. Yeah, I wouldn't give Joaquin a hard time about that, honestly. Teresa, hey Teresa, welcome. Beautiful emotional speech from Joaquin. I absolutely couldn't agree more. All lives do matter. So yeah, basically the thing that has been in the news like all over since he's given it is his Oscars acceptance speech. And you can see that there was some extremely negative reactions to it, and I'm going to go over this a little bit. Leon says Arvind is great too. Cool. I'm sure it's good. If you guys say it is, I will check it out. So yeah, basically this is just a op-ed in, I don't even know what this is, spectator.co.uk, and this guy is just going off on Phoenix and how, you know, he should kind of stick to his craft and not put his nose where it doesn't belong, and telling people, you know, what to do, and you know, he's so out of touch with the average person, and blah 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 blah, and you know, these people and these liberals and whatever, and this is sadly not the only one. I mean, I could make a whole video about how these people are probably, you know, projecting and just feeling guilty, and they know that, you know, they're wrong for doing what they're doing, but they just don't want to admit it. So it's easier to lash out and point a finger at this guy and say how he's, you know, this and that. But if you actually watch the speech, and I encourage everybody to do that, you know, probably if you're vegan, you've probably seen it because it's been like all over the vegan news. But if you're not vegan, I would definitely encourage you to go watch it and actually listen with an open mind. And I would encourage you to just really try to be, really just take in what he says and just listen and see, is anything he says not true? Because everything he says is actually true. And then 2, the way he says it, you know, put your own, feelings aside and just try to be as impartial as you can, and try to imagine yourself as kind of like a third person who's not, involved in any of what he's saying, and really look at, is he being at all judgmental? Is he being at all, condescending? I don't think he is. I think he was actually coming from a place of love and coming from a place of compassion. I mean, he talked about those kinds of things throughout the whole thing, and he ends by saying that, you know, people are at their best when they're forgiving each other and when they are working together to find creative solutions and, you know, being respectful towards each other and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it was like the most inclusive kind of speech I've ever kind of probably seen in one of these stupid award shows. So my hat's off to him. I think he did a great job. I think the people who like this guy, Tom Slater, you know, if they're going to try to slag this guy, they're really reaching. Like, I think that's putting it lightly. So, let's see. What are you guys saying? Michael says, I watched Joaquin's speech so many times. I loved it. Yep, me too. Cool. Make the whole video about their projecting. Yeah, I mean, they really are, Race. Like, that's exactly what people are doing. They're just projecting. Herbivore, apparently as soon as you get famous, you are not allowed to have an opinion. Yeah, exactly. Luis, lots of projecting going on by anti-vegans. Absolutely. Hey, Ethical Revolution, welcome. All of these news people are the ones that are out of touch with the reality of how the animals suffer for their food. Yep. And it's just crazy cognitive dissonance, and they just want to not take in any message that kind of contradicts what they, want to keep doing. Green Smoothie Party. Hey, haven't seen you in a long time, man. Welcome. I gave a copy of How Not to Die to Bernie's campaign manager. Nice. And told him that it was how we could afford Medicare for all. Bernie's son-in-law confirmed to me that the book is now at Bernie's house. Very cool. Nice to hear that. Okay, so moving on. Another article that I found very interesting. This was on foxbusiness.com. So this is part of the Fox News franchise, I believe. And basically, this is talking about how the dairy industry is reacting to his speech. And there is a backlash. And, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that the dairy industry would not be happy with what he said. But again, if anybody hasn't seen the speech, the line here is, we feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, we take her milk that's intended for her calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. Now, again, I ask you, is that the truth? Yes, it is. What is there to get offended about the truth? You don't want to hear the truth because it's unpleasant. I understand that. It's not a pleasant truth. You can't make it sound nicer than it actually is, and that's what these people are offended about. But anyway, so, they have someone from the National Milk Producers Federation. If Phoenix studied the commitment of dairy farmers to animal welfare and had a fuller understanding of the contribution of dairy products to a nutritious diet, especially for children, he might have a different perception of the value that dairy contributes to global health and the importance of the dairy sector to global livelihood. Alan Biera, spokesperson for the National Milk Producers Federation, told Fox Business. Now again, there's so many things wrong with this that you could make a whole video just about this one article, but I'm not going to do that. Basically, is this renouncing or proving anything he has said to be false? No, it's not. It's not a question of animal welfare. It's an absolute fact that you artificially inseminate the cows and you take away their babies. That is undeniable. That's part of the process. That is how they make dairy. So how nicely you treat them aside from that is inconsequential to that fact. So that's just like, this is neither here nor there. It's just completely unrelated. Then they talk about dairy products being part of a nutritious diet. There are so many consequences, negative consequences of consuming dairy with regards to your health that, I have actually more than just one video talking about that. And you can go watch them. I have a series on February dairy from, I think, 2 years ago at this point. And one of them is talking specifically about the health consequences of consuming dairy. If anybody hasn't seen that yet, I encourage you to go check that one out. And there's just so much information out there now that it contributes to prostate cancer, colon cancer, all these kinds of problems. Diabetes, it's the highest source of saturated fat in the American diet, the typical standard American diet. It's terrible. It's full of hormones. It's full of, antibiotics often and all this kind of stuff. It's just a terrible thing. It's a huge drain on the environment. I have a separate video about that in my February dairy series. It's probably one of the most, if not the most cruel industries ever. It's more cruel, I think, than raising animals for meat even, because they still get slaughtered, they still get killed at the end, but in addition to that, they just are abused so badly as well by taking away their babies and all this kind of stuff. It's really crazy. So whatever this person is saying, it's like, this has nothing to do with reality. It's like the opposite land. And Fox Business is just giving them a platform here to go on and whinge about how their market is being, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, and Phoenix is such a kook, and he's an animal rights person, and whatever. And it's just, it's just crazy. There's no counterpoint. There's no, vegan nutritionist or, some plant-based person here to give some perspective. No, they're just making him seem like he's just a whining, crazy liberal, attacking a good, wholesome American, industry. And yeah, again, like, people live in opposite land. They just want to believe the opposite of the actual truth. It's really crazy. Okay, what are you guys saying here? Teresa says, I was disappointed that Stephen Colbert mentioned Joaquin's speech but made a Harvey Weinstein joke out of it. Oh my god, that's terrible. I actually really hate Colbert now. As good as he kind of was back in the day, I really think, like, just completely out of touch with reality. That guy's... I can't even stand to watch him anymore. Anyway, Ray says, have Bernie's son-in-law invite you over to verify. Nice. Replace all their meat with Gardein products and don't tell Bernie. Nice. Vermont road trip, sweet. Surprise, surprise, Louise says, yep, a dairy backlash from bestiality-loving perverts. Well, that's the sad truth of it. There's no nice way to say what they do, unfortunately. Herbivore says 98% of Asians are lactose intolerant, but the Chinese government has been really pushing consumption for a few years now. And actually, if you look, a lot of people of color are lactose intolerant. I think it's something like 2/3 of all African Americans, for example, are lactose intolerant. It might even be higher. I don't remember the stat off the top of my head, but it's really high. I think it's at least 2/3. And yet you have, America pushing dairy in schools. You have people, nutritionists telling people to consume as much dairy as you can tolerate, all this kind of stuff. Even if you're lactose intolerant, people are encouraged to take lactase and, other kinds of things. I was in the store today, actually, and in the checkout aisle, as I'm going through, waiting for my turn to pay for the stuff, there was a weight loss, I don't even know what, protein kind of powder, something to get for like a shake. And in it had, of course, dairy products, and right on the front it actually said, like, now with added lactase to help people who are lactose intolerant. And it's like, oh my god, like, just don't drink this crap, like, and then you won't have to put other stuff in there to try to counteract the lactose. People are insane. Hey Daniel, welcome. They don't even believe it. It's just talking points to push on them by higher ups. Of course, all of mainstream media is owned by these corporations, the same people. They, of course, are going to put this stuff because that's what pays the bills. These people run the commercials that run on these channels, and what they say is what is going to get put out there for people to see. Yeah, Colbert has been pissing me off. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Colbert sucks. Good. I am glad other people think so too. He's a total asshole about it. He could use a smack in the mouth. Okay, you said it. I'm not going to disagree. I don't think he sucks. He's still funny. It's just obvious that he's deluded. Yeah. I never liked him much. I think some of what he says is funny, but most of it is just pandering to the mainstream. I agree. Teresa says, Milton Mills, Dr. Milton Mills, yes, has videos about African Americans being lactose intolerant. I think we all are, aren't we supposed to consume? We aren't supposed to consume dairy. So yeah, basically, unless you're of kind of like Northern European descent or have some kind of fair part of your genetic makeup coming from that area of the world, you very likely are lactose intolerant. Because I think there's like some gene mutation that happened, like whatever it was, I don't know, 10,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago or something, where people in the northern part of Europe developed a genetic mutation that actually helps them to digest dairy. So I actually have never had problems digesting dairy. Back when I was an omnivore, I was eating a lot of dairy actually. I was drinking probably at least a liter of milk a day, and eating cheese and yogurt and all that kind of stuff, and I never had any problems with it. So obviously I probably have that genetic mutation. But yeah, I mean, it's just most people don't. So unless you're kind of unless you've already got that mutation, you're pretty much better off not drinking milk. Race, pal, you are talking silly. If Michael was super nice to you before taking your babies and milking you, then you likely wouldn't care at all and offer your nipples willingly with anticipation. I don't know about that. Have I read up about new 5GC? I haven't really researched too much about it. I did look into it briefly after Michelle Lowe's videos on it. And then I actually saw a bunch of videos from Dr. Greger talking about it and some other places, but I'll be honest, I haven't I don't even know what to say about it right now because it's been a while and I kind of have actually forgotten about it. So I'll have to kind of check that out. Is there something specifically you wanted to ask about it, Daniel, or did you want to say something about it? I think that was also one of these genetic mutation things, right? And I can't remember what it was. It was like animals produce new 5GC and we don't, or the other way around. I don't even remember. I'll have to check it, so let me know if you want a video on that or something, and I'll try to put something together. A couple of kind of interesting, articles here, neither really bad nor good. I just want to kind of make a quick couple points about it. Oprah says going vegan 1 meal a day was the easiest thing. And I just kind of find, these kind of articles really kind of, it's a mixed bag of emotions for me. Like, I think they're kind of nice to see, but then I also get kind of frustrated. So right in the link of the article, you see, did Susie Amos Cameron just turn Oprah vegan? And it's like, spoiler alert, no, she's not vegan. And I just get annoyed with this because, they had, this is James Cameron's wife, and she encouraged Oprah to just do a one vegan meal per day for a month. So I think instead of doing like Veganuary, where you would do like all vegan meals for the whole month, so the 30 days, what they did was they just focused on doing one meal vegan. And, Oprah's, basically going on and on about how it's so easy and it's, it was just so much fun. And she was posting, her 1 meal a day on Instagram and stuff and sharing recipes and what have you. And I just find this incredibly frustrating because, like, you have to be smoking crack if you think that Oprah is actually cooking a damn meal for herself. She's a billionaire. Like, she, I'm sure, has probably multiple people that she can go like that and tell them what to make for her. And she has known about animal rights issues for decades. She had, what's the guy? Lyman? Who's the angry cattle rancher? Or the Mad Cowboy, I think his nickname was. Something Lyman. I forget his name. But anyway, I mean, that guy was like in the late, 90s maybe? Or early 2000s? I can't remember. I think it was late 90s. Where he was breaking the stuff about the mad cow disease and the treatment of the cows and the sick cows being ground up and fed back to cows and all this kind of stuff. The guy's been vegan for a long time. He used to be a cattle rancher. He was on her show, and she was like, I'll never touch a burger again. There was a big legal case about it. I mean, there have been so many times where she has been introduced to the idea of the health consequences of consuming animals, of the ethical side of consuming animals. She's had shows previously where her entire staff and her people in the, like the TV studio, where they went vegan for like, I forget what it was, like a week or something. I mean, don't tell me that she can't like eat vegan if she wanted to. This is just like, it's like an annoying publicity stunt. So it's like, am I happy that, every once in a while she trots out like the little vegan cart for her audience to kind of go like, oh, Oprah's so nice. Like, okay, great. Like maybe some people who've never heard of veganism or something, like they'll see that and be like, oh, okay, like cool, I'll look into it or I'll check it out. But like, am I gonna be like, oh my god, like wow, Oprah, you're so incredible? Like, no, I'm not. Like she knows everything that she needs to know about veganism, and she's just choosing to be lazy and probably just doesn't want to give up her whatever favorite dairy foods are or something. I don't know what kind of animals she's eating. I know back then, when she was doing the video with the guy with Lyman, I think she was already saying that she doesn't eat like certain animals, and that I think she was just eating like chicken and stuff like that. But still, it's like just these people they blow my mind. Anyway, lots of comments. What have you guys got? Okay, cool. So Daniel's done a lot of looking for a new 5GC. I'll see if I can put something together. Let's see. Herbivore says lactose soy in Thailand has added milk powder. Jeez, man, it's just crazy. Ray says going vegan 1 meal a day is great for Oprah if she is doing OMAD. Yeah, that's cool, but I know she's not. Louise says, best plant-based doctor on YouTube, in my opinion, is Dr. Clapper. I really like Dr. Clapper as well. Very reasonable and just like, I don't know, simple, well-spoken, kind of like, he doesn't try to sound all fancy and, you know, too complicated. Like, he just tells it really simple, easy to understand. I like Dr. McDougall. I like Dr. Greger. I like everybody, basically. I love Dr. Garth Davis, Pam Popper, like all these people. They all speak really well. And Dr. Milton Mills, excellent. Dr. Kim Williams, like all of these people, they're great. I can't say a single bad thing about them. Daniel says, eating one vegan meal a day is a good way to be a hypocritical animal abuser. Yeah, it's exactly right. And is it going... It's like giving your slaves one day off of manual labor for the week. Yeah, you're not a saint. Exactly. Howard Lyman. Thank you, Luis. That is the person I was thinking of. I love Dr. Clapper. Yep. Mad Cowboy, Howard Lyman. Everybody who doesn't know who that is, go check it out. And actually, I talked about the Aggag laws at the beginning. There's a great presentation by Lyman where he talks about the Aggag laws and kind of how they were tied in to the Patriot Act after the 9/11 terror attacks in New York. And there's a really great presentation on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can find that for you guys really quick, and I'll put it in the description at the end as well. But that is a awesome presentation. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, Aggag laws. No. I think this one. This is it right here. Check out this speech, guys. This is a presentation at a law school, and if I remember right, this is it. Yeah. This is it. Everybody should watch this. This is an awesome presentation. It's about an hour long. Go check this out. Talks a lot about the Aggag laws and kind of the history of it, and he talks about his situation with Oprah when they did that show. That was before these Aggag laws were kind of in place, and he even says that basically if he had tried to do something like that after those laws were in place, the fact that they did that in the show, they would have both been able to be charged with terrorism under those laws. So definitely check that out. It's kind of funny, this thing with Oprah and tying it back to Lyman and the Aggag laws. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I gotta scroll back up here. Teresa says she's plant-based, having a plant-based diet once a week. It's annoying the way the word vegan is thrown around. Clickbait. Yep, absolutely, it's clickbait. So I think she was doing a meal a day, though, Teresa, just to be clear. So she was eating 2 non-meals, let's say, and non-vegan meals, and then 1 vegan meal. Best plant-based doctor on YouTube is Dr. Furman. Dr. Furman's great, too, actually. Yep, that's a good one. Okay, Oprah's just doing lip service. I agree, perpetually annoyed. Herbivore says, I take bits from a few at Louis, including Clapper, Greger, Goji Man, etc. Perpetually annoyed. So she looks like a good person. Yeah, she is doing it to look like a good person. And I'm sure to her viewers, like, they probably think she's the nicest person. And, honestly, is it good that she's at least doing, little spots on veganism? Yeah, probably. She's got a huge audience, and like I say, maybe there are some people who are watching now who, have never heard of it, and they'll go look into it. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. So let's see. It was because of Howard Lyman's book that my mom went vegan for life. Wow, that is awesome. That's cool. Luis, that's really cool. Oprah, okay, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Greger, Dr. Barnard. Yep, Dr. Barnard's awesome. Oprah should go vegan and change her name to Okra. Ray says, that's funny. I just saw some really funny Okra themed t-shirts today on Twitter. That was really cool. Daniel says, I hate Dr. Popper. She is a problem. Why do you hate her? I don't know. Why do you think she's a problem? Because she normalizes eating animal products. Whoa, that's news to me. I haven't seen that. Maybe I just haven't seen those videos. Send some over if you got them. Herbivore, didn't Dr. Clapper just do a great short vid on admitting he's changed his stance on DHA supplements for vegans? Yes, he has. That was probably a couple months ago, I think. And since then, I think some other doctors have also kind of come around and said that as well. There was a link on some clinical trials showing a link to prostate cancer, I believe, with people who were taking DHA supplements. I think it was for men specifically. But he said that, yeah, he's just basically now of the mind that we should just focus on getting as much ALA from whole food plant-based sources as we can and not worry about supplements. And then, basically just, flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds, etc. Focus on that. That's what I do. I eat flax seeds pretty much every day, chia seeds every day. Walnuts, not every day, but I do like to get them regularly as well. And we have them in the garden, so that makes it nice. Let's see. Perpetually annoyed. Daniel Reynolds. Why does she do that? Or how does she do that? Yeah, that's my question too. And there's a legion of people who use her as an excuse to eat some animal products. Okay, well, I'll definitely look into that. Louis says, did you hear that Oprah Winfrey and Deepak Chopra got married? Now we have to call her Oprah Chopra. I don't know if you're joking or whatever. But anyway, Daniel, she refuses to admit that there's evidence that eating small amounts of animal products isn't good for your health, and she says that it's not necessary to go completely vegan. Okay, that's disappointing. I don't know if that's being taken out of context or not. I just say that only because I think some of the things I've said before on this channel, I could see if somebody took it out of context, I could be painted in a bad light. Again, I don't know the story with her specifically, but I have said before that, for example, if you look at the blue zones, this is kind of one of the big things that all the anti-vegans love to say is that, none of them are fully vegan and look at their great health outcomes and blah, blah, blah. I say that it's kind of like, yeah, the small amount is probably not enough to really deteriorate your quality of life or give you any kind of illnesses. And really, for somebody who's, say, like 95% plant-based, and just getting maybe 5% of their calories from animal products, like, are they going to be pretty damn healthy if they're eating like whole food plant-based, let's say, and just 5% animal products? Yeah, they'll probably be really healthy, and like maybe the difference will be like, living to 90 really well versus living to 100 very well, or who knows? I don't really know, and I don't think it really matters at that point. You'll probably be pretty healthy, but of course I would still argue for the ethical side of not consuming animal products. So at that point I wouldn't be trying to convince somebody like, look, you might live an extra year, or maybe your sex life will be better when you're 85 versus if you're eating 5% less animal products. Like, I wouldn't really argue for the health point from that point on. I would just argue from the ethical point on, and maybe she's done something like that. I don't know. I'm not trying to defend her, but I'm just curious. So I'll definitely look into that and see what's what. Okay. Yeah, Perpetually Nerd says I wasn't aware of that. Never heard her say it before. Ethical Revolution. Louis Ghetto. There was also a funny one with Whoopi Goldberg and Gerard Depardieu. Whoopi Depardieu. Man, you guys are awesome. Daniel says there's a video that came out on the Real Truth About Nutrition channel about it just yesterday. I'll check it out. Dr. Joel Kahn is cool too. I do like Dr. Joel Kahn too, but couple things is just I find annoying some of the stuff he posts on Twitter, like some of the studies he kind of like will retweet and stuff, and I don't know, like I've just been kind of like, oh, it's kind of like a weak argument sometimes. I don't know, like I saw some of his debate on the Joe Rogan show, and like I just don't think he did that well. I mean, maybe he's not used to debating people who are out and out liars like Chris Kresser and what have you. But I mean, if you compare his performance to Wilkes, what's the guy's name? The guy who did the Game Changers movie. If you compare their performance, I mean, it's just like Wilkes was incredible, just like body slammed Chris Kresser and beat him until he was just a whimpering little, child, like begging for mercy. And Khan, I don't know, like I don't think he did that well. So anyway, and then I've also seen where he, there was a clip of him basically saying that, Sean Baker's diet is still better than the standard American diet. And I just thought that's completely insane to say, and I don't know what he was smoking when he said that. So yeah, I'm not like I'm not giving him the PAL seal of approval. So sorry about that, guys. Let's see what other stuff is going on here. Okay. Planton, hey man, welcome. Any debates coming up? I wanted to actually set up a discussion / maybe debate with Millennial Prepster again, talking about B12 from duckweed, but he actually was really nice. He got back to me on my email, but then I got really busy on the weekend. We were supposed to do it, and it didn't happen. So I'll try to reach out to him again and set something up. I don't really have anybody else in mind, but if anybody has somebody that wants to debate me or talk about vegan topics, let me know. I'm happy to debate anybody. Daniel Reynolds, go ahead and load it up. I can't share links, but it just came out. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. What is Khan known for? I've been hearing his name more. Okay, hopefully I answered that already. Perpetually Annoyed, agreed. I'm sub to Dr. Khan as well. Khan was on the Rogan podcast, debated Cresser, that's right. Oh man, there's so many comments, it's hard for me to read. It jumped. Fermented foods are great for ALA. The stronger and more diverse your microbiome is, the better you can convert ALA. Purposely take PAL out of context often for my amusement. No problem, Reese. I'm glad I could be here for you. Herbivore says, I felt sure that Pam Popper was vegan. Louis says, Daniel Reynolds, Dr. Khan focuses mostly on heart health. Perpetually Annoyed says, Race Lover, you do it to just make me laugh and it works. You have many fans, Race. Daniel says, Pam Popper may be vegan, but how can you say you are vegan while you defend people's choice to eat animal products? Again, I'll check it out. I just don't want to jump to conclusions before I see it myself. Let's see, Pam Popper, okay, is plant-based, not vegan, in my humble opinion. Maybe, I'll definitely check it out. I'll have to see what Khan says about new 5GC. Plant-based dieting is not the same as vegan. I absolutely agree. Again, you can obtain probably a lot of the health benefits by just going mostly plant-based, but at that point I would still argue for the ethical side. So, yeah, I just think, there's the point of diminishing returns, right? So like if you want to buy a car, if you spend, X, you can get, Y quality. And if you spend 2X, you're not going to get 2Y quality. You're going to get some smaller amount. So like, it's the same kind of thing. Like you can be, the closer you can be to fully plant-based, I really do think the more healthy you'll be. But at some point, somebody can only care about health so much. Most people, if you told them like, look, you might live to be 98 versus say 96, they'll probably be like, well, screw it, 96 is good enough for me. Whereas if they're, say eating the standard American diet, like they're probably going to die at 60 or something. So it's like, yeah, like there's only so far you can convince somebody just on the health aspects. Like you really want to get into the ethical discussion and the environmental impact as well, just for, your own self and your future generations, if you're thinking about them. That's my opinion. Let's see. Plant-based doctors are still an advantage for us, though. Shoot, it jumped again. Although annoying sometimes, I agree. Okay, James Wilkes, that's right. Yeah, he was great. I mean, he brutalized Cresser. That was awesome. I don't follow Dr. Khan on Twitter. I didn't think he did well on Joe Rogan either. He's not a great debater. At least Wilkes nailed it. Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Planton. Yeah, he was great. Popper puts Keto Crowd in their place. That's good. Yeah, Wilkes heel-hooked Cresser. It was awesome. I mean, he just, I thought he was going to cry at sometimes throughout the thing. I almost felt bad for him. Not that I actually did, but just almost. I was that close. Luis Gato, plant-based diet does not equal vegan. Absolutely. Good criticism of Dr. Khan. Thank you. Well, that's a plus for Popper there, I guess. Teresa, exactly. Don't give Millennial Prepper the time of day. He's... Okay, well, we'll see. Let's see. I'm going to punch spell correct in the kitty. Eat sentience to be sentient with your free testosterone and free fall. Exactly, yeah. Sean Baker, anybody who can praise him as being... at all healthy is just, I don't know what they're smoking. All he has to do is eat more free testosterone. Yeah. Wait, that's not true. Free testosterone. Okay, that raises estrogen levels. He used to wear glasses until he ate enough eyeballs to repair his vision. Exactly. Okay, let's see. Wilkes went into it like it was a fight and he was there to win. And he did. And that's exactly what he did. I loved it. I loved it that he had this approach with Cresser that on every single point that Kresser made that was wrong, he got concession from him on every single point. It was just so awesome. It was like, I got to remember that for the next time we debate anybody. But anyway, positive news, guys. I have not seen this movie yet. This is a post by somebody I follow on Twitter, Ari Solomon. Really good posts by this person. Check them out on Twitter. Wrote this great article. It's actually not even that new. It's from 10 months ago. But it's about a movie talking about vegans who are people of color, and specifically talking about their contributions to veganism and spreading the vegan message. It looks awesome. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to try to watch it at some point. And yeah, just this article just talks about kind of why this is important and why it's a great thing for the movement and why everybody should watch it. It's called The Invisible Vegan, and it talks a lot about how people of color are often not portrayed and not represented in typical, media kind of portrayals about veganism. So definitely check this out. If anybody has seen this, let me know what you guys think. It looks really good to me. It sounds really good. So check it out. It's called Invisible Vegan. And you can watch it on Vimeo, I guess. Let's see. 7-day nose to tail eating solves all your all your problems. Yeah, I'm sure Sean Baker wouldn't even be able to stomach the stuff that these idiots like Sverge and Frank and all these other people eat. Because if you watch like Sean Baker, I mean, the man's eating steaks and hamburgers. Like, that is the most like non-adventurous kind of like meat eating I've ever seen. It's like the guy goes to the In-N-Out and just gets like burgers, and then tells them to not put the bread on. Like, it's not at all adventurous. Anyway, I don't think he would be able to eat a kidney or some internal organ. I think he'd be disgusted by it. That's how much of a lion he is. Okay, Daniel says, did you guys watch that girl get stoned to death the other day? No, I didn't. What the heck? That's crazy. I watched Invisible Vegan on YouTube. It was very good. Cool. That's good to hear, Teresa. Thanks for sharing. No, I haven't seen that, man. That sounds terrible, Daniel. Oof, that's awful. Yeah, there's so much evil in this world, man. It's scary stuff. Speaking of scary stuff, the coronavirus and all these other kinds of things, all being tied to animal products and animal consumption and all this kind of stuff. The flu even comes from, people and their contact with animals and farming animals and all this kind of stuff. This was a interesting article from November, actually, of this past year. This was a hunter who was the third person in China that year to get the Black Plague, the Black Death, after eating wild rabbit, who was infected with the bubonic plague. So just crazy stuff, and apparently it was unrelated, but there were 2 other cases. It's out there. Like, it's really rare for people to get this kind of thing. It is still, extremely contagious, and it is extremely deadly. It says the infection can be fatal in as many as 90% of the cases if it isn't treated properly. They usually give you really high-dose antibiotics and stuff to, deal with this. And it says here that the bubonic form is the most famous for causing the Black Death, which killed around 1/3 of all European people in the medieval era. So, crazy stuff. Tons of people, I guess, who came in contact with the guy were quarantined. 28 contacts of the man who ate the rabbit had been quarantined. Meanwhile, 42 of the 46 quarantined contacts of the other 2 patients have been released after showing no signs of illness. So just kind of crazy stuff, scary, and just another good reason to leave the poor animals alone and stop eating them. Same thing with the coronavirus. Like, people are suspecting it came out of the meat market there. Scary stuff. Jumping back to your comments here, Daniel says the video of the poor girl being stoned to death was because she was eloping and it was shared to YouTube. Man, that's crazy that people put stuff like that up on YouTube. That's scary. That's awful. But it needs to be shared to show the horror of abuse of women. I would agree with that. It's just awful. That's terrible. So many humans do so many horrific things to human and other non-human animals. Other than human animals. I would agree with that. Perpetually annoyed. What video? What's it called? I don't want to promote that. Sorry, guys. Race lover. Baker's fake carnivore. He only eats nose to hose. Oh my god. It's all over the light movement. You don't want to watch it. It's so terrible. I don't want to see it. Plague's back in fashion. Black Death was carried by a parasite on rats, not the rats themselves, from what I understand. That's correct, Luis. I believe it was actually the, what do you call it? The little things, they're little bloodsucker insects. What are those things? Fleas. I think they were fleas on the rats that were carrying the disease. It was like a virus that was in them, and it was spread by the blood, you know, because they would like jump from one animal to another. And people would obviously come in contact with the fleas too. More in kind of weird, what the hell are people doing kind of news, and also kind of, as a form of explanation of like why people are getting illnesses from all sorts of different regions in the world, and why it's more important now than ever that the world is so interconnected that we do try to limit animal farming, and especially the large-scale farming, the factory farming, which accounts for 90% of the farming in the world. This is a crazy example where farmers were jailed and fined in Australia because they were smuggling in illegal Danish pig semen in shampoo bottles. So apparently this broke all sorts of biosecurity laws going into Australia. They weren't supposed to be doing this. It happened multiple times for like, look at this. It's like from May 2009 through March of 2017. So you figure almost a decade they were doing this. They were trying to use, I guess, like some higher quality, faster growing pig semen so that they could get a breeding advantage in their farms. And they were, I guess, ultimately caught and talking about how, this is just such a bad blow to the Australia, industry and all this kind of stuff. And so just crazy stuff. And really, I'm just kind of shocked that people would be doing this kind of stuff. And I mean, it just sounds absolutely disgusting. And also, like, how long does like semen in a shampoo bottle stay viable? Or like, I don't even want to like get into the biology of this, but it's just absolutely insane. People are crazy. More crazy farmer people. There was a kind of protest against the Macmillan Cancer Support charity group after they put out a charity like web challenge where they were encouraging people to adopt a meat-free march. They were saying, like, you could go meat-free or ditch dairy as well. How you take part in the meat-free march is up to you. And they were doing a Just Giving page and basically getting people to, do this as a charity event to prop up, like, basically cancer research and support and what have you. And then, of course, our friendly people at Farmers Weekly, great publication that I reference frequently on my live streams here for news. They got all the farmers, panties in a twist and or in a bunch, as they say, I don't know. And they're basically saying, like, yeah, we're not going to support you anymore, like, not giving money to that charity anymore. We do so much and whatever, and there's no cancer link. And it's like they are just blatantly lying, and they're, they literally have things in their picture here that are known carcinogens, like processed, meats and like ham and sausages and what have you, and just insane stuff. And how they're calling for an apology, and I guess the charity did apologize, but they said that they didn't mean anything by it, and that it's just a challenge, and people should just do what they want, and they can eat what they want, and it's not aimed at causing permanent changes to people's eating habits. Macmillan believes the diet people follow is entirely a personal choice. Our only recommendation is that it's healthy and balanced. So they're kind of caving away from any kind of controversy, and basically telling people to keep eating whatever the hell they want. Of course, nobody looks at the choice and how it affects animals and other people, of course, destroying the environment, but that's neither here nor there. This was a great study that actually came out last year, and it was on my to-do of sharing with you guys for quite some time, but I kept forgetting about it, and then I just found it on my phone the other day. This one is talking about a heart disease biomarker that people found when researching paleo diet people, and they found that People who follow the paleo diet have twice the amount of a key blood biomarker linked closely to heart disease. The world's first major study examining the impact of diet on gut bacteria. So it was talking about TMAO. I never can pronounce this, so if you guys haven't seen it, there's lots of great videos about TMAO from Dr. Greger and others. And yeah, it's basically, you know, here it is, an organic compound produced in the gut, and it's associated with an increased risk of heart disease and also cancer, I believe, which this doesn't talk about. And yeah, and it says, you know, which kills 1 Australian every 12 minutes. That's pretty insane. And basically what they found here is as many paleo diet proponents claim the diet is beneficial to gut health, but this research suggests that when it comes to the production of TMAO in the gut, the paleo diet could be having an adverse impact in terms of heart health. We also found that populations of beneficial bacteria species were lower in the Paleolithic groups associated with the reduced carbohydrate intake, which may have consequences for other chronic diseases over the long term. They were saying that, yeah, it's basically the reduction of whole grains is to blame. And, you know, here they also say paleo diet includes greater servings per day of red meat, which provides the precursor compounds to produce TMAO, and paleo followers consume twice the recommended level of saturated fats, which is a cause for concern as well. So, yeah, basically they said this was the first time the findings have been published in a peer-reviewed journal, and they presented it at the Nutrition Society of Australia conference last year. So, pretty cool stuff. Check it out. Don't eat paleo, don't eat keto, don't eat carnivore. Eat whole food, plant-based, if you want to limit your chances of getting heart disease and cancer and all sorts of other bad stuff like diabetes. What have you guys been talking about? The fleas, that's right. Ethical Revolution confirmed for the Black Death. Daniel, yeah, it was probably evolved in farm animals. Yep. Michael says, I think 2 people from Mongolia died from pneumonic plague from eating raw marmots. That is true. That happened last year. I think Mike the Vegan did a video about that too, and I mentioned it in a previous live stream too. You can easily blame the plague on animal agriculture. I'm sure you could, and but if you're Agenius Vonderplants or one of his disciples like Sverge, you will actually know that Agenius, Mr. Vonderplants himself, said the Black Plague was not caused by bacteria. It was actually caused by the Europeans burning coal to heat their homes. He also believes that mercury is responsible for making fish more buoyant. So take that with whatever kind of grains of salt or mountains of salt you want. But I thought that was always funny. We did that in our debunking video with Plantin and Logan. If anybody hasn't seen that, it's quite a riot. You guys should check it out. Ray says, Pal said Seaman's story was a bad blow. Race. Thank you for being on. Teresa, sick and perverted. Absolutely. Louise, animal exploiters will do virtually anything to make their profits off of exploiting innocent individuals. Yep. Frank, hey man, welcome. You are here indeed. Ethical Revolution says, so we have 2 months, Veganuary and meat-free March, just 10 to go. As the meat eaters and the farmers just keep trying to come up with more crazy stuff, like, I'm sure we'll just get more and more. We already have February dairy, sorry, but that's related to dairy specifically. So that's 3, if you want to count those. We will now get the party started. Okay, no dismember November. That's a good one, Race. You should trademark that one. That's good. Let's see. I wonder when we are all going to grow spines and stand up to animal exploiters. Well, we're doing it with what we are, buying. I think that's kind of one of the biggest things you can do is to be an example and yeah, don't support it with your purchases. Eventually, the subsidies will run out. Like, there's only so much that they can do. If nobody's buying it, at some point, nobody's going to buy it. It is happening, Louise. I would agree. The vegan world, it's happening. Frank says, real vegans buy Pal's shirt. Thank you. I hope you've bought one. Daniel Reynolds, TMAO. Yep. TMAO and new 5GC are both associated with cancer and heart disease pathology. Tomatoes, on the other hand, probably reduce your chance of cancer because they have so many antioxidants and lycopene and all these other good things and fiber, and they taste good. Frank, vegans are inconsistent. They say they care about the animals but buy products that kill animals all the time. Okay. People don't Understand that you can't. You can shift your microbiome to help you digest new 5GC, but it still shortens your life and still puts you at risk. I will do, I guess, more research and try to find out some stuff about new 5GC to share with you guys. It's like looking at the microbe family branches of a cat. Perpetually Annoyed says, "What are you drinking, pal?" I am drinking mostly water. I had a tiny bit of tea, like maybe this much at the bottom, and then I just dumped water at the top because I was in a rush. So it's like, it's pretty much water, but it kind of looks like tea because there was a little bit left in there. And I'm too lazy to get a new mug, and I was in a rush. And I was already late for starting the stream, so I didn't want to make you guys wait any longer. Let's see. You could cultivate those bacteria in your microbiome, but there will still be consequences. Luis says, Frank Taggart, one can care about animals while not being able to avoid all inadvertent, unintentional, or unknown harm to animals. I think Frank was being sarcastic, but hopefully. Yes, I would agree, Luis. Like how there are bacteria that stop the immune response from milk in your guts, which actually just facilitates the problem because it goes unnoticed. Yep. Analog, yeah. Guys, Frank is vegan, so just, I think he was kidding around. Anyway, Flem, hey, Ali, welcome. Everybody go check out the Flem face. She's got a great channel too. Let's see, Freely is hairy. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? Hope you're well. I am well, thank you, and I hope you're well. Daniel, I totally shift freely. I don't know if that's British slang for shag or some other kind of slang, but probably is. Luis, the phlegm face. Yep, ruined my rapio. Okay. Lads. Yep, I bet you taste like mangoes. That's not a bad thing. Mangoes taste great. Oh, so what? Guys can be hairy, girls can too. Absolutely. Sorry for ruining the rap. Oops. Yep, fiber gang. Fiber's good. No vegans kill more animals than hunters. Says Ted Nugent and Joe, what's his face? Joe Rogan. Girls can be hairy on their heads. Stop being harassed. Man, you guys are crazy. I love you all. Okay, cool. More good news. In Florida, there is a little island where there's this super endangered, like rare species of burrow owls. And apparently they actually build their nests in small little burrows in the ground. And because so much of like the population, the human population has exploded, there's very little habitat left for these guys, and they are only found in very small areas in Florida. So this one, I guess like if it's a city, Marco Island City Council, they've agreed to set aside money to pay residents $250 each if they are willing to allow the city to come and build these kind of special burrows for the owls to nest there. And it's really just kind of nice feel-good story that I guess a lot of people are calling the city and volunteering for this, and they don't even want the money. So I thought that was pretty nice and just says a lot of nice things about the people who said that. All right. So that was cool. I like that. This one was kind of a weird and crazy story. A vegan bought for $230 a huge lobster, as you can see in the picture here. It is a 100-year-old lobster, and then they set him free. So I thought that was really cool. Kind of a weird thing that they're like holding up this poor lobster and being like, "Hey, look at him, he's so big," And it's like, okay, like yeah, cool, but like they're still kind of like manhandling the poor thing. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of weird, but at least hey, they let him go, and apparently they filmed it, and there's like a video of it somewhere, and. I guess this lobster had been in a tank for like a really long time. It was a 23-pound lobster, and yeah, this person drove 230 miles and paid $230 to the family, and then they got him released by a lobster fisher guy or whatever, fisherman, and they put him back in the water and let him go, and. I don't know. Then the article talks about kind of like boiling lobsters alive and all this kind of crazy stuff, and very sad that people don't see that is horrifically cruel, and that they should just leave these things alone. I think it's lobsters too that mate for life, if I remember right. Don't quote me on that, or maybe somebody can double check me and let me know if that's true. But I think they walk around hand in hand with their like partner. I'm pretty sure they mate for life. They're really interesting and very smart, cool animals. It's terrible that people eat them. Perpetually Annoyed, thank you for calling out hair shaming. I would absolutely agree with that. I think ladies should feel comfortable doing whatever they want. If they want to shave, they can shave, and if they don't want to shave, they don't have to shave. It's nobody else's business. I have a beard braiding business for women. That's slander. Come on, man. All right. Joe Rogan has written in Ted Nugent for presidential for president more than once. Well, that kind of makes sense. I mean, they're hunting buddies, right? Michael says, I love owls. Yep, they're really cool. Fist bump to Louise. Cool. Frank says, go vegan as a female and you grow beards. That's why Race Lover wants them to go vegan, so he can profit. Yes, we should all shave all of our hairs. Sometimes I would absolutely think it would be kind of easier, like to not have hair. But yeah, I mean, I've had a long beard before. Sometimes now I've had kind of a couple of days growth here. I got to shave some. Owls always win stare out competitions. That's cool. Just a bunch of smooth, oily eels slithering around each other. I don't know what that's about. Lobster is vegan. I don't think lobsters are vegan, but anyway, that one might be. Louise, the best people in the world tend to be those who care most about animals. That's absolutely true. They're literally manhandling that lobster. I would absolutely agree with that. It's kind of sad. At least they let him go. I'm happy about that. Obama is the one of the best people in the world. He doesn't care about animals. Come on, man. I don't want to get too political, but it's a sad day if somebody thinks Obama's a good person. I don't know, man. Like, compared to what? Compared to Trump, maybe. But a lot of the things that people criticize Trump for, like, it's just a continuation of Obama's policies. The people in power are really one and the same, and I'm sure they all play golf on the weekends together, and they're all friends. That's just my 2 cents on that. Yeah, I would agree with Louise. The humor gets lost without the smileys. Planton says lobsters don't walk hand in hand with their partner. They crawl claw to claw. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. Thanks, Planton. Okay, Ray says it's not okay to like hairy women. I would say it's okay, and it's in fact okay to love them as well. Or whiny women. And what about whiny men? I don't know. Okay, run him out of town. Okay, let's see. It's okay not to like hairy men too, but society doesn't shame them like women. That's true. You know what? On this topic, actually, I didn't share it because it's not vegan related, but I recently saw a crazy story in the U.S., of course, because where else would it happen? A poor lady was found guilty of indecency to, I don't know what it was, like something like exposing herself to minors or something, because she and her husband were like renovating or painting in the garage of their own home, and it was like a super hot day and they were both topless. So she had taken her top off and the guy had taken his top off, and they were painting or whatever in their garage. And I guess the kids that the guy had from a previous relationship were coming to visit, and when they came in the house, they had seen the guy's wife topless. And apparently, when the mom of the kids found out, she reported the mom to the authorities, and she was charged with like indecent exposure because she was showing her breasts to minors. And I just think it's like that is just the most preposterous thing like ever. Just really shows you that in the U.S. like you can literally charge somebody with indecent behavior for showing their breasts in their own home, in their garage, because it's hot as hell and they were painting. And yet, you can show all sorts of, like, gun violence, like, just, like, it just, I don't even understand. Like, you just turn on the news and, like, just see what's on, but yet, show some boobs, and, like, guys can walk around with, impunity, like, doing whatever the hell they want. It's just crazy. I don't know. All right. Okay, if you're whiny, then you aren't a man. Only women and children are whiny. Okay, now race is just, I think, gone off the deep end. Much of this type of insanity is a consequence of religious fanaticism. Absolutely, I would agree with that, Louise. If you're joking, it's no longer funny. You're just being sexist now. Okay, breastfeeding is illegal. Well, I think breastfeeding in a lot of places, if you do it publicly or if people see your breasts, that is illegal, and you can be charged with indecency for that too, which is insane. Okay, moving on, because it's getting kind of late for me. Can planting billions of trees save the planet? Yes, absolutely. Please check out this article. I'm not going to go through this in detail here, but I encourage everybody to check this out. It's talking about, how much of the greenhouse gases could be mitigated if we plant, however many billions of trees, and the various efforts of various countries to, say that they're going to plant X, whatever millions of hectares of area, and kind of the importance of doing this and all this kind of stuff, and how technology is being used. They're going to be planting trees by drone or doing it by hand and all this kind of cool stuff. Really cool article. Check it out. And the reason I bring this up is because in a previous live stream that I did talking about how we can change the world and end animal agriculture and rewild much of the earth that is currently being used to grow food for feeding to animals, which we then kill and eat, we could actually reduce that by huge amounts and actually allow areas to regrow forests all by themselves. You don't even need human intervention. Forests will actually regrow all by themselves, and I just think that's awesome, and people need to be aware of that as well. So go check out the previous live stream I did on that if you haven't seen it. And the reason I bring this up again, or kind of a related article about this, is that a while back I did a live stream where I talked about an effort by Gina Bates, who I follow on Twitter. Everybody should go follow Gina. She's awesome. And there was a crowdfunding effort, which I also talked about in a live stream. There is a global vegan crowdfunder. You guys can actually use this. It is out there for vegans to crowdfund projects for vegan efforts and for outreach and things like this. And Gina successfully crowdsourced and crowdfunded her project. She is doing the world's first vegan croft in the Highlands of Scotland, and she is going to be rewilding a good portion of the farm that she bought. I don't remember the exact details off the top of my head. I think she bought like 80 acres or 100 acres or something like that. Or maybe she bought 100 acres, I think, and then 80 acres is going to be rewilded, and the rest is going to be set up for veganic farming. And she's going to be growing like hazelnuts and all these other kinds of things, and using veganic permaculture principles. It's awesome. I highly encourage everybody go check out Gina, support her. And she's got a tiny YouTube channel. It's called Highland Veganics, and you guys can see her efforts there. She's got a handful of videos up. I don't think it's too many. It's maybe like 10 or 15. I don't know, this many videos. You can see the actual piece of land in question. It's amazing. I can't say enough good things about this effort. I'm so happy to see this kind of that it's being crowdfunded and basically being financed by like-minded vegans who are really trying to put this veganic farm in place in the middle of sheep country right there in the Highlands of Scotland, and actually it's working. So she's got people to put in enough money to buy the I don't know however many hundred hazelnut trees that she needs to get the nut portion of the forest planted. And they are literally planting the trees. As of this past week, she had vegan volunteers going out and helping her. Somebody from the Vegan Society in, I don't know if it was like London or someplace else, went as well. She's documenting it with videos. You guys can actually see, where the money is going to. And again, I just think, show some love. Go over there, please. Sign up for her channel. Subscribe. Let's get her some more subscribers. She's only got 39 people subbed. So please, go check out the Highland Veganics. I'm going to have this linked as well as Gina's Twitter profile. So please go check that out. And that's really all I had. I'm going to put in these other links that we talked about as well at the end. And yeah, really just wanted to end here and just give a shout out to Gina. I'm so like just proud of her for doing this, and I'm proud of so many people that I follow on Twitter who actually supported her and contributed to it financially. Shout out to everybody who bought, you know, a tree for her to plant, and for the wonderful people that she got to go out and you know, to actually volunteer and plant the actual like trees. It's just awesome. So please do go over there, say hi, you know, subscribe to her channel. Let's get her, you know, some love in the community here, and share her stuff. So that's all I've got there. I'll put all the links in at the end, like I usually do. Let me switch back the webcam view here. You guys can see the t-shirt bigger. Seitan, the other wheat meat. Go check that out, guys. And let me jump through any comments and let me know if you guys have questions. I'll try to take some questions here at the end. Ooh, man, lots of stuff here. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. More stuff about breastfeeding. Whiny people. No, there's a lot of data coming about how planting trees won't save us. Well, I don't think just planting trees will save us, Daniel, and I don't think that's what the article is saying either. But it will certainly help, and it's definitely a key part of what will save us, if anything will. Herbivore says the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. That is what got them into trouble when they claimed that. Although, you know, honestly, again, that's media twisting words, because that's not exactly what they said. What they said was, to many kids, they were more important than Jesus, and that's absolutely true. Anyway, ethical revolution. Growing hemp is also great for sequestering carbon. I say we just throw hemp seeds around everywhere like Johnny Appleseed. Not a bad idea. Ethical revolution. If you haven't, or if you're not familiar, go check out the book Sowing Seeds in the Desert by Masanobu Fukuoka. Awesome book. I'm going to do a separate video about that book. One of the best things I ever read in my life. I love that book, and Fukuoka is like one of my huge big inspirations for getting into gardening. His book One Straw Revolution like just changed my life. I've done a video about that before too. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. But yeah, check it out. Daniel says, 1 trillion trees is a great idea. That could become a dangerous climate distraction. Reforestation is critical for a lot of reasons, but it's no substitute for cutting emissions. I would agree with that, but I think it's, again, there's many things that need to change, and that's one of them. Race Sliver, the power of vegan Jesus compels you. That's Earthling Ed, right? Vegan Jesus. David Reynolds, it was the GOP climate plan involves planting trees, but no emissions stoppage. Yeah, that's not going to work for sure. A lot of this stuff is just climate change, mitigation, deterrence, and those piss me off. I would agree, and I think a lot of times people also try to point to this mythical, magical, like, oh, they'll, you know, use these carbon-sucking, you know, things to sequester carbon. I don't believe in any of that stuff either, and I don't think that's going to save us. Louis says, I doubt that the hemp seeds we buy in supermarkets can be thrown on the ground and grown into hemp plants. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. I do know that... you know, if people actually grew hemp, you know, it's incredibly, what do you call it? Like, it's a fast-growing plant, and it requires no pesticides, no like external watering. It's an amazing plant. I mean, you can use it for so many things. You know, fibers for clothing, paper. Like, just you can use it for building. Like, if you guys haven't seen hempcrete, that's a pretty awesome thing. It's made from the pulp of the hemp plant, as well as I think lime and soil. Basically, I think it's like some kind of mix with water, and you can pour it as concrete, and it has amazing properties. It's water proof or resilient. I don't know the exact thing, but you can basically use it to pour even a foundation. You can use it like concrete and build a you know, a pretty, you know, low impact and sustainable building out of it, and it has really good thermal properties and sound insulation and everything. It's pretty amazing stuff. Rewilding is tight, absolutely. Vegan Jesus says is the only Messiah I follow, and he isn't a naughty boy. I would agree. Don't panic because I'm veganic. Exactly. I don't know. I guess you could try sprouting them like sprouting broccoli sprouts. I have never tried it. I don't know if it would work. If veganism is a cut, who would be... Oh, is it a cult? Who would be our leader? I don't know. I don't think we need a leader. Everybody knows what needs to be done, and that's to stop exploiting animals. Race lover. Cultism is a vegan, to be frank. I don't know. Okay. Oh, man. It jumped again. Michael's going to sub to Gina. Awesome. Thank you. Race lover. I am the vegan cult leader. Luis says organic is not carnist. Absolutely not. Okay, let's see. In Avi's server, he's just posted something that organic is carnist again. The guy's insane. I mean, I did the video. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but you know, I think, you know, pretty much nobody has posted a single thing refuting anything I've said in it as far as the science or any of the things I've posted or any of the numbers or anything. The only thing Avi has said in one of the comments is basically he's nitpicking about some of the things I said about his ethical, you know, stance or his explanation of ethics or whatever. Ultimately, I just think like he's somebody who seems really smart. He says a lot of big words. Ultimately, I don't think he actually even understands what he's saying. I don't think he understands what he's saying when he's talking about ethics. He tried to make it seem like I misunderstood what he was saying. He also promised me he would send some detailed explanation about deontology and kind of like where he gets his you know, views and whatever. He has never sent it since. And, you know, it's just like, oh, come on Discord. Well, you know, I'm not going on Discord, and I've offered to him to do a debate with anybody else on his YouTube channel or somebody else's YouTube channel or with a moderator or without a moderator or on my channel, and he doesn't want to do it. Like, it just, you know, if you watch the debate with Foot Soldier, if you watch the debate with Michelle, you can see what a horrific mess the Discord server is. That is not conducive to polite and cordial discussion, and yeah, I'm not going to go on there. But I actually have another video that I'm going to be talking about some of his calculations, which seem like they're just being made up out of thin air or just some kind of misconstrued, misunderstood kind of, I don't know, numbers. And I'll probably do one more video about that, and then I'll be done with it. Teresa says, back to work for me. Have a good rest of the week. Bye, Teresa. Have a great week, too. Luis, he loves you all. Live vegan. Absolutely. Perpetually annoyed. See you guys. Great informative stream. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, everybody, for being on. Race Slever planted a seitan tree yesterday. Good. Daniel subscribed to Highland Veganics. Cool. Ethical Revolution, good, we'll check it out. Nice. Plant vegan seeds in people's minds, man. I am trying, Frank. Yeah, Masanobu Fukuoka, Ethical Revolution. I'm going to put a link here at the end, too, just so you guys check it out. And let's see. Daniel, I'm going to go plant some vegan shoes. What? Vegan what? Vegan shoes up Karna's butts. That's awesome. Okay, hemp is versatile as hell. It sure is. Shemp was the older brother of Mo. I didn't know that. I didn't know they were brothers. I guess I haven't watched enough Stooges. Agnostic, vegan, anarchist here. Race accept Jesus into your heart. Dr. Avi's a total B12 shill. I don't even know what that means. Okay, Perpetual Annoyed. Would you debate Avi on organist not being carnist? Organist? Did you mean organic? Yeah, you'd like to see, yeah, this organic not equals carnist nonsense has got to go. I would debate him. I'm happy to debate him on anything that isn't Discord. I mean, just I've already told him, but he's not going to do it. I don't know what it is about that. I think he just gets comfort from being in a group of, like, I don't know, like a pack of wild dogs barking or something. Like, I don't know, it's just really odd, that whole scene vibe. I don't understand. I don't know why somebody would want to be on there. Okay, Daniel says, I asked him how much he charges people to give them unnecessary B12 shots, and he declined to answer. I'd like to see that. Okay, yeah, we already did that. Okay, yeah, Daniel's not a fan of Avi. Race, let the logic bots rot in their Discord caves. Yeah, Frank, thanks for the invite. I don't use Discord. I'm not going to start. I'm plenty busy enough with with YouTube and Twitter, I'm not gonna go and try to get myself on another platform. I can barely keep up with what I'm doing here. So thanks, but yeah, no. Avi won't debate anyone off of the Ask Yourself Discord. It's very telling. Absolutely. Well, there they can manipulate, the volumes and do all sorts of stupid, shady stuff, and they just seem to get off on that. I don't know why. And I'm glad to Ask Yourself made a place to learn logic, but it's kind of turned into a show to make sure he's making money. Probably. Yeah. So organic is definitely not carnist, I would say. And if anything, I'm not really here to say that people buying non-organic is that they are carnist. What I say is, if you're buying plants and that's your purpose of you want to pay somebody to give you a tomato or a banana or an apple or whatever, as long as the produce itself is vegan, is vegan. I almost said veganic, but it doesn't have to be veganic. As long as it's vegan, I don't care. That's what we need to tell people, is you need to eat plants. You need to leave the animals alone. And if you do that, and most of the people in the world go vegan, even if not everybody goes vegan, but just some critical mass, at some point, those industries will fail. And that will be the critical turning point. And those kind of gray areas and those weird kind of things where, like, bone char for sugar and the plastic, in the keyboard and the animal thing in the roads and whatever, like those little byproducts and those weird kind of like gray areas, they will go away and it won't be a question anymore and it won't really be an issue. So that's the way I look at that. You want me to go to the Ragnarok Discord where we praise Odin? I I don't know what to say. Leon, playing the organ is carnist. No, thankfully. I love organ music sometimes. It can be really great, especially in like, a rock or some kind of funk setting. A nice B3 is a great thing. Okay, you have a question, Daniel. Shoot. Okay, I'm sure organists are... Oh, some organists are carnists. I'm sure some of them are. Do you think communist Russia would have survived if there was a never-ending supply of food? Or would communism work if food was free and never-ending? This is kind of a huge topic. I don't really know that. I mean, I'm kind of actually trying to wrap up, so I'm not going to go into too much of the political things that I think about this, but just in a sense, like, can communism work? I think really small communities work really well, I think, for people. I think, there's studies. I don't want to quote the numbers because I don't remember them well enough, and I'm certainly by no means an expert in it, so I don't even feel qualified to talk about it, but I think I remember reading stuff where, like, people say that once you're above, like, I don't know, whatever it is, like, let's say it's like 150 people or something, like, once you have a community that's bigger than that, you pretty much kind of start losing the ability to really connect with people and really be kind of like, like a really nice kind of like good community. And I think there's probably some truth to that. There is probably some kind of maximum size that you can grow to, and then after that it just starts going downhill. There's a really interesting movie that I saw really recently. It was a documentary. I actually shared it on my community tab, if anybody hasn't seen that. I can't remember what the heck is the name of it. Hold on. I'll dig it out for you guys in 1 second. Hold on. What is it called? I think it was called like Simpler Way or something like that. Let's dig it up for you guys. It's from Happen Films. Oh, there it is. A Simpler Way. Check out this movie, guys. It's really, really cool. This is it right here. I will put this in the links as well at the end. Check out this movie. It's great. But anyway, it talks about the efforts of a really small bunch of people, and they form an intentional community, and they talk about living simpler for like a year. Very small, basic shelters, tiny houses, earth huts, that kind of stuff. And they're growing a lot of their own foods. They're not vegan. They do have some like birds, it seems like, probably like geese and chickens and stuff. But they are eating, mostly plants that they're growing themselves, and they're trying to be really like mindful of the environment and all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting. But one of the things that was really fascinating in this little documentary was a part where they talked about the difficulties of community and of I don't know, kind of like the social structure and the difficulties they had in like relating to people, and like if there was any kind of like imbalance in the group, if somebody was upset, the communication skills required and all this kind of stuff. And they talked about it, and they said that in like modern society, we've really kind of lost our ability to really communicate with one another well and be able to hash out disagreements. And you know, like everybody's kind of wanting to lead this simpler life in this kind of like little community for a year and learn about, you know, permaculture and growing your own food and all this kind of stuff, which it seems like it's great and it seems like everybody's on the same page. But then at the same time, even in that small group, there were only like, I don't know, 20, 30 people or whatever. Even there, they had enough kind of discrepancies between them that there were sometimes disagreements, and they found it difficult to overcome these things and come into, you know, see eye to eye on things. So it's really interesting. And I don't know, sorry, it's a long-winded, you know, kind of explanation to you, Daniel, but I don't think it's simple enough to say, oh, if you have enough food, you're good. Like there's always going to be stuff to disagree about. There's always going to be things that you have to, you know, yeah, basically like work out and hash out problems. And I don't think it's quite that simple to say, like, you know, if everybody just had a roof over their head and food in their mouth and, you know, their belly was full, that everybody would be honky-dory and everything's good. But with that said, if we could somehow, you know, do that for all people throughout the world, would it alleviate a lot of problems? And I think so, yeah. So basically, yeah, like a universal basic income or something like that, I think could go a long way at alleviating the world's problems and making people stop hating each other and being able to be fooled by politicians on all spectrums of the political, you know, or all parts of the political spectrum, left, right, liberal, conservative, whatever. They're all there to steal money from the poor and keep themselves in power. That's my view on it. Yeah, that wouldn't really work if people had their basic needs met, and it would be a lot harder to point to kind of the other, you know, and blame them for everything and say, you know, you don't have enough because of these people there, and, you know, we have to go kill them and take their stuff and what have you. So that's my view on that. Hopefully that helps answer your question. Precision fermentation is supposed to reduce the cost of food 100 times by 2035. I don't even know what precision fermentation is. You were thinking the only way a socialist society could thrive is with free food. Yeah, I mean, people have said stuff like, you know, you could grow all the food with robots, you could build all the houses with robots, and then people could just be free to, you know, explore art and do kind of projects like that, creative things, and not have to worry so much about work and feeding themselves. But if you look, I don't even think we need that kind of technology. I don't even think we need that kind of like fanciful, wishful kind of like, you know, future. If you look at the book Your Money or Your Life, which I've talked about previously, you know, it talks a lot about kind of this concept of money and how a lot of times people work for money and they don't realize that you could probably survive with a lot less than you have. You could probably be happier with a lot less than you think you need. And if people actually just, you know, just focused on feeding themselves and, you know, making sure that they have shelter and then being happy, like you could do that with way less than a 40-hour work week. And yeah, I think like, you know, we don't need like technology to do this for us. Like there are places in the world where people are extremely poor, but they're happier than the developed world. I mean, if you look at like, you know, money and technology and gadgets and all this kind of stuff, I mean, it's been growing so much, but happiness keeps going down. I mean, like people just are less and less happy. And I think returning to a simpler life would actually help a lot of people be more happy. Check out this, you know, this documentary that I'm going to link here at the end too. It's really good. Dunbar's number, is that the number of the maximum people? Ethical revolution? Probably. Let's check that out. Dunbar's number. Suggested cognitive limit to the number of people with whom one can maintain stable social relationships. So what is the actual number? Is it a number? Oh, commonly used value of 150. Yeah, so that sounds about right. I'll check that out too. Thanks. I don't think we've lost it. We've just expanded our egos. Just a hypothesis. Yeah. Someone watch my rice cooker and make me my rice. Frank. Oh man, I blame YouTube for communication breakdown. I hope not, Graham. I think it's actually helping. Social media is kind of good in some ways and kind of really bad in others. I would agree though. It has its challenges. Okay. Okay. It's like the thing chickens in barns face when they would have smaller groups in pecking orders in nature, but they wouldn't know what's going on in a barn with hundreds of them. That's right, because I think scientists have shown chickens can remember like 120 chickens or something like that, and after that they can't remember anymore. So yeah, the pecking order gets all screwed up, and that's why they're pecking at each other literally, and that's why their beaks are always cut off in the factory farms, so they don't peck each other to death. It's really stressful for them. But I mean, humans would feel the same way if like you wouldn't be allowed to form any kind of like normal social interactions, and you would just always be, you know, taken out of your environment and shoved around with like all new people. Like you'd probably go crazy pretty quick. Frank eats rice 3 times a day. No problems with that. Rice is good. Just be careful with the arsenic. Try to get low arsenic rice, or wash it and soak it. Politics is not the same as economics. I would agree with that. How many trolls can I maintain a civil social relationship with? I would say the answer can vary wildly, probably closer to 0 than any high number. Okay. Socialism can work if there was no such thing as scarcity. There is no real such thing as scarcity in a wise population. Yeah, if we take care of each other. Another great movie, guys. Check out this movie called The Economics of Happiness. That is a fantastic movie. Check that out, too. Okay. Attachment. It's a natural human condition, says Louise. I would agree with that. We need each other. I mean, we need people. Like, some people are happy kind of being alone, but I think even, you know, it's very rare to find somebody who's a true hermit and wants to be fully alone. I think people still want to have, even if it's a small number of friends or family, but yeah, like we need each other. I think, you know, humans are a very social animal. Okay. Happiness is not going down. Change my mind. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it can be argued one way or the other. Maybe we'll do a separate stream about that. We can talk, Frank. Leon says that happiness is increasing. Send me any kind of studies or anything that you have on that. I don't have anything per se. I haven't actually tried to look for anything. I just kind of say this intuitively and from my own experience. It's just like anecdotal and just from what I see. Best time in history to be human. I don't know about that, Frank. I would argue that it's not, but I think in some ways yes, and in some ways no. People are becoming more aware of how humans work since psychology became mainstream. I wouldn't argue with that. Precision fermentation is a technology that enables the programming of microorganisms to produce complex molecules such as protein at their fraction of the cost we do now. Okay, check it out. It's what's used to produce grain from yeast instead of cows. Okay, that whole disruption. Leon, I think you would attribute that to neurology, not psychology. Ferment your rice. 72 hours. Reduces all bad things and increases the iron content from 3 milligrams to 73 milligrams. Never heard that. Interesting. I meant how the psychology of humans work. Psychology has done so much damage, though. Okay, I'm pretty happy on my own, but I'd also like to socialize. I do like to socialize occasionally. I would like it more if most people were more intelligent instead of needing helmets to safely tie their shoes. Yeah, I mean, people are kind of crazy, and sometimes being around toxic people really is draining and tiring. Dairy from yeast. Okay, thanks, Dana, for the correction. Okay, guys, it's 11 o'clock. I got to go to bed. It was awesome to be on. I'm really happy to have everybody on. It was fun taking questions and stuff here at the end. I hope you guys liked it. Hope everybody had fun. Check out the links. I'm going to have them at the end. I'll tack them in as usual in the comments. And then I'll do all the stuff we talked about from your suggestions, and I'll link those at the end too. So check it out. And yeah, hope to do another one soon. And yeah, remember, February Dairy is still happening. So if you have social media, please do share stuff about fed brewed dairy and get people to ditch dairy, go vegan, live with compassion, live with your ethics, or live in line with your ethics, I like to say. And yeah, go subscribe to Gina's channel. All right, cool. Thanks. Bye. Later. Yep. Cool. Cheers. Good night. Okay. You're welcome. Thanks, Leon. Thanks, everybody. See you guys later. Bye.